In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to get your Mexican citizenship. For a lot of you guys out there in the audience, your parents are Mexican or your grandparents are Mexican and you were born abroad, in this case, probably born in the USA. And well, you guys want to get your Mexican citizenship ASAP. And so today we got our good friend Aaron, and he's going to help us, talk you through exactly what you need to do, all the steps you need to do, and how he went through the process about a year ago and how he got his Mexican citizenship and then eventually got his Mexican passport. Now, before we get started, I'm going to tell you step by step exactly what it is you need to provide, and then I'm going to give the camera over to Aaron, and then he's going to tell you guys in detail exactly how all of this works. So step one, the first thing you need to do is you need to fill out the application from El Registro Civil. Step two, you need to get 2 copies of the long form version of your U.S. birth certificate. Step 3, you need to get a valid ID with 2 copies. Step 4, you need to have the original birth certificate for your parents. If you cannot get the original, then you need a certified birth certificate. You also need 2 copies of that. Even if only one parent is Mexican, you can still get your citizenship, but you still need to provide, again, information on both your parents. Step 5, you also need to provide valid ID for both your parents. Again, the same forms of ID that work for you work for them. In the case that one of them might be Mexican, well, again, things like El INE or their Mexican passport or what have you would work. So they need, again, valid ID and also 2 copies of the valid ID. Step 6, parents' marriage certificate. Again, this is only the case if your parents were married 6 months before your birth. Otherwise, your father needs to be present for your Mexican registration. If he cannot attend, then he must obtain a Mexican power of attorney. If only your mother is Mexican, then again, she is the one that needs to be present or obtain a power of attorney. Again, this is only the case if you do not have a marriage certificate for your parents. Also, in the case in which you cannot obtain your parents' marriage certificate for whatever reason, such as in Aaron's case, where he explains that his parents were married in the US and the consulate required a Mexican marriage certificate. So he went to the civil registry in Mexicali, and there they did not require a marriage certificate in order for him to get his citizenship. So that's what he did. So again, everything is on a case-by-case basis. I'm just giving you the rough outline of what they're looking for in the civil registry, mainly if you're going to be doing this at a Mexican consulate abroad. But again, if you're going to be doing this in a civil registry in Mexico, things are just a little different, and for many cases, a lot easier. So again, this is on a case-by-case basis. Step 7, you need to have 2 witnesses over 18 with valid ID present at the time of your registration, okay, el registro civil. In many cases, I've heard that even if you don't have witnesses, that, the consulates or, the registro civil, they can provide the witnesses for you. So don't worry there. And step 8, once you have everything ready, you got all your paperwork, you got, your IDs, you got the copies, you got everything done, then is when you go on ahead and you make your appointment with el registro civil. Again, you can do this at the registro civil booth or office within the Mexican consulate, or you can do it at the registro civil in Mexico. Again, registro civil, they're all over the place. Every single city, every single pueblo, village, whatever has a registro civil. So again, depending on what you might find easiest, you can either do this in Mexico or you can do it at the consulate. But either way, you're going to be doing it at the registro civil. Now, with all that being said, it's time to talk to Aaron, and he's going to explain to us in detail, how all this works, okay? Because he did it recently, and he's going to tell us how his experience went through the whole process, and hopefully it can help you out as you're trying to get your Mexican citizenship. So, all right, without further ado, let's talk to Aaron.
All right, thanks, Jose, for having me on the video today. So, I'm going to go ahead and break down the steps of what it takes to get your Mexican citizenship. We will provide a link below in regards to a downloaded version of the Registro Civil application. Again, you can find it in any of your local consulates, wherever you decide to do your process. So, step 1, make sure you fill out your Registro Civil application. That is primary. Make sure you get your application, whether that's in the consulates in the States or, like in my case, the Registro Civil in Mexico, which I did. Step two, get two copies of the long form version of your US birth certificate. Now, in my case, I went ahead and got my birth certificate, two copies of it, but because I did it in Mexico, I had to provide an apostille. You can look that up, and that there's more information in regards to how to do the apostille. But make sure, long form version of the US birth certificate. So, if you do your Mexican citizenship, if you apply for it, make sure that if you're doing it in the consulate, you don't have to provide an apostille. But if you do your application in Mexico with the Registro Civil, they will ask you for an apostille for that document, the US birth certificate. Step three, valid ID plus two copies of any official US ID works. So if you use, say, your passport, some form of driver's license, anything that provides valid identification. That's what I did in my end. Step four, both parents must have original or certified birth certificates, plus two copies. Even if it's only one Mexican parent, you still have to provide their birth certificate or acta de nacimiento. But also note, if any of the parents, one or both parents, are deceased, you will also need to provide a death certificate for this step. Now, in step five, you have to provide a valid ID for both parents, plus two copies. That can be their form of ID in the form of passport, driver's license, etc. Now I'll get further into step six. Parents' marriage certificates. Only if your parents were married 6 months before your birth. Now, in most cases, um, if you have Mexican parents who were married in Mexico, then this would apply. You would have to provide a marriage certificate. But like in my case, both of my parents are Mexican nationals. They were then naturalized US citizens and they got married in the US. Now, because I tried to apply for my citizenship at the consulate, they did require me to provide proof of marriage from both of my parents from Mexico. But because I didn't have that, that's when I decided to go ahead and apply at the Registro Civil in Mexicali. Hence, when I did the paperwork, they only needed an acta de nacimiento or birth certificate from my parents as proof of their Mexican nationality. The reason I did mine in Mexico was for the simple reason that it was a lot easier for me. Um, if you try doing it in the consulate, maybe it's much easier for you because you have access to the consulate. I happen to have much closer access to the Registro Civil in Mexico because it is a case by case circumstance um, based on travel, uh, certain factors regarding immigration, etc. Now, when it comes to the names, that is a very important aspect when doing the application for citizenship. You have to make sure that the names do match. For example, if your birth certificate says Jane Lane Doe and your passport says Jane Doe, that's not going to work. They either both have to say Jane Lane Doe or both have to say Jane Doe. Now, for this matter, you may have to get it rectified, whether that's through your driver's license, your birth certificate. That needs to get fixed first beforehand. Step seven, have two witnesses present with a valid ID, two witnesses that are over 18 years old. And the last step, step eight, once you have all your paperwork, then you have to make your appointment at your local consulate. In my case, you can also do it at a registro civil, which is if you go directly to Mexico. Um, in my personal experience and how I went through it, I had mine done in Mexicali, Baja California, which is the capital of the state of Baja California. You can do it there. You can do it in any um, city, capital, ideally city. Maybe you can try the towns, but where you find a registro civil is where you find all the services, including that of applying for your Mexican citizenship. To expand on it more, I did it in the Registro Civil because it was a lot more easier. I was able to get a lot more done. I didn't have to do or schedule any appointments like I had to do at the consulates. Some consulates, in the case of mine that I went to, had bodyguards or had a security guard, which makes it a lot harder because you have to set up an appointment. Not in the case with the Registro Civil in Mexico. You just walk in during working hours, office hours. You can essentially get everything done that same day or within a span of days or weeks. In my case, I got mine done within 2 days. And it took me approximately 3 weeks to officially receive my acta de nacimiento. And that's how it went in my experience. Now, once it's all said and done, you then have your acta de nacimiento. You can go ahead and apply for your INE and for your passport. Ideally, for your INE, you have to apply it. If it's done in Mexico, it would be an INE office, or if it's in the States, you can also do it at a local consulate. Same thing with the passport. You can apply for your passport at a local office in Mexico. Ideally, it's a passport office where you get it that same day. You get it in one day. Or you can also apply for your Mexican passport in the consulate as well. But once you have your acta de nacimiento, you are officially a Mexican citizen.
All right, guys. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video and and enjoyed all the information that we were able to provide for you. Hopefully, it was helpful and can help you get your Mexican citizenship as soon as possible. Especially now during these crazy times. This is something that a lot of you people have been asking me about, have been inquiring about, and well, I just had to make a video about it. But I just didn't feel comfortable doing it on my own. Again, me not being a Mexican, it was very difficult for me to really talk about this, subject. So that's why I had to bring my friend on, Aaron, which again, he is Mexican. His parents are Mexican. He went through the whole process, and again, so hopefully it was very helpful to you guys out there in the audience. And again, if you have any more questions, okay, any comments or anything like that, please provide them down below in the comment section. Again, I'm also going to provide in the description of the video Aaron's email in case you have any questions. Hopefully he can help you a little further, with your quest to get your citizenship. And also I'm going to provide the links again to get the application, to get to the consulate and everything you need to make this process as easy as humanly possible for you. Again, I'm just trying to provide all the tools so that you guys can do all these things on your own. Again, I'm just trying to help you guys help yourselves. And I really hope that this video was, very informative in this whole quest to make your way out here to Mexico. Again, at the end of the day, I wish I had it as easy as a lot of you guys out there in being able to get my dual citizenship and being able to get my Mexican passport citizenship and all that good stuff. For those of you guys out there that have the ability to do so, stop wasting time and get it done as soon as possible. All right, guys, with all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show. And if you did, you already know what to do. Don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Again, thanks again to Aaron. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.